All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on the SybizCloud solution. I'd like to welcome everyone in. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully this won't take longer than half an hour. I'm expecting a little bit less than that, but time will tell. And we'll just quickly run through what we're going to cover today. So primarily we're going to be talking about what the SybizCloud environment is, how you might use it, and a demonstration of that login process, and also why the SybizCloud environment could be the right answer for you. We're going to try and keep things pretty general. We don't want to get too bogged down in specifics. And for those of you who are unsure what a cloud environment means in this sense, we'll cover that. And for those of you who are a bit more technical, we'll throw in a bit of jargon as well, just to help you understand exactly what we are talking about. Hopefully this will cover everyone's needs and desires and help you come up with an idea of whether SybizCloud might be right for you. So firstly, of course, what is the cloud? Exposing my poor animations. But anyway, so firstly, we're based on the industry-leading Microsoft Azure technology. So we do use Microsoft Azure as a basis for the cloud hosting, which leads me to that next point. It is a hosting solution for Vision and VisiPay, accessible anywhere in the world, 24/7. That is also a key point. It is a hosting solution for Vision and VisiPay, so you're not getting a special version of Vision where it does, half the things. No, it is Sybis Vision, same as anyone else using it, with a couple of tweaks just to make it work in that cloud environment. But it's not like entire functions are missing. For the most part, they are the exact same pieces of software. The underlying software, same as on premises. So yeah, no material behavior changes. And in regards to file structure, it utilizes local mapped drives. So that could be your hard drive. It could be a SharePoint that you have linked in to your current drives. So essentially what your local computer can see, the SybizCloud environment can see. And for the reasons of security, one limitation that does exist is that we only allow third-party applications to interact with the cloud environment through the secure Vision Web API. Security is something we do take very seriously on the cloud, and to that end, that's that general restriction. So what do you actually get for signing up to SybizCloud? Well, obviously, there's a whole host of things, but the top three things that we want to really highlight is access, security, and maintenance. So let's quickly run through these now. So access, as said, you can access Vision and VisiPay from anywhere on the globe, 24/7. So if you're traveling and you go, oh, hang on, I need to check to see if that person's paid off their $100,000 bill because it's really important, you can do that. If you needed to transact something, very simple, you can do that. You can also engage with that access in one of two methods. So there is a web client. We don't prefer it, we don't suggest it, but for limited use cases, it is very convenient. We do acknowledge the convenience. The flip side is that Vision and VisiPay are still desktop applications. As I said, this is a hosting solution. Hence, that web client does just have that limitations of what a web client is. Therefore, we don't suggest it in the first instance. And there is also a remote desktop app. So that's our preferred experience. What we would suggest, if it is possible for people to utilize the remote desktop app, we certainly suggest it. But as said, you do need to have that app installed, and hence that is an extra little layer of friction. So there's both methods, each have their positives and negatives. As said, we prefer people to use the remote desktop, but that web client is there and ready to use, and we will be showing off both of those in a moment, just by way of quick demo. So security. I think it is fair to say that it is our absolute and number one priority. I jokingly said to someone else a few weeks ago, it's our top priorities. Number 1 is security, number 2 is security, and number 3 is anything else. We do take it seriously because we know exactly that if there are data breaches or so forth, that's serious, and we do not want that to happen. So we firstly take the very strong foundation of the Microsoft technology, which the SybizCloud is built on, and then we have created essentially a robust set of security policies wherein we believe it is pretty damn secure, because we don't want to see, as the slide says, any weakening of our security posture, because we see that as a risk. And that's that main reason why that limitation I referred to earlier before is where you can only access the data through the SybizCloud or through that secure methodology of the Vision Web API. And finally, maintenance. So some of you are going to know what I'm talking about when I say this, but our solution fits somewhere in between being infrastructure as a service and software as a service. It's not full software as a service in the sense that some traditional web-hosted pieces of software are, but you don't have to maintain anything except what's inside of Vision. We handle the server, so we handle the updates. The SQL behind is always updated. Windows PC updates, backups, that's all us. The other advantage is that we'll also handle the Vision and VisiPay upgrades. There may still need to be liaisons with your business partner in regards to customizations you might have to make sure that they are kosher as that upgrade occurs. But the general process is that about 3-4 weeks before an upgrade, we'll send out an email to everyone saying there's going to be an hour of downtime, thereabouts, pardon me. And after that, you're going to be on this version, which will usually be the latest that's released at that time. And to that end, everyone is on the same version on the SybizCloud, and that is something that we handle that process. So that's another advantage, is that there's a lot of stuff that we handle that in an on-premises environment you would have to handle. So let's quickly discuss logging in. So there's 2 main methods. As said, there's the web client, which you can access via a simple URL, and that will provide you with a set of icons if you've got Vision and or VisiPay, depending on what you have. You click that and you log in. And as I said, we'll go through a live demo of this momentarily. The alternative is the remote desktop, and it's the same thing. The only difference is instead of being inside a web browser, it is inside a discrete application. Same thing though, you launch it up, you see your Vision and VisiPay icons, click them, and head to the login screen. So I've got this is specifically based on the remote desktop, and you can tell that this is a remote desktop version because it's got this little greater than, less than symbol sitting here, which is the remote desktop icon. So you can tell, yep, this is a remote desktop application. It's being launched from there accordingly. It's also file structure. So this is how it looks in regards to the remote desktop being our preferred method, because that is one of the things where there is a bit of friction on the web client is file saving. And as you can see, you've got this save window that you'd be familiar with. You'd have the hosted solution C drive and D drive, but we don't want to look at those. We want to look at that C drive on our local computer. And again, you can see that greater than, less than symbol on those highlighted drives. I've only got a C and an F, but if you had SharePoint drives or similar, they'd all be sitting there as well. So as said, let's demo that process now. So I'm sitting here, I'm in PowerPoint, and let's say that I wanted to log in via the web. So I'm going to do it via an incognito window because obviously I've got more accounts than I can shake a stick at. And I've actually bookmarked the URL because I can't remember it. So I've bookmarked it, and it's going to prompt us to sign in. So we're going to sign into our account that I've made just for today. SybizCloud. Of course, we're going to be prompted for a password, which we'll pop in here. If you weren't doing an incognito window, you wouldn't have to do this login every time. It's just because of the incognito window that's got no thing now. So we're going to get prompted for MFA here to my phone. You can't see my phone, but I'm just quickly pulling out my phone and authenticating with that 2FA. We mandate 2FA for all accounts, no questions asked. If you can't have MFA, that's find a way. That's our answer. Cool. And then that's going to log us into our web client scenario. So in our case, I've only given myself access to a Vision instance, and we're going to click that. We're going to allow some local resources, and it's going to launch up Vision. So this will, of course, take a second as the software loads on that hosted solution. We're going to pop our password in again. And then in just a second, Vision will load. Cool, so I'm going to pop a password in. Oh, it would help if I remembered what the password is. There we go. And that will log in. And this is just Vision now. Once it pops up, there we go. So we've got a customer list. We've got some creditors. This is a very simple test database. For those of you who are keen webinar viewers, you might recognize the names of some of these debtors and customers. But yeah, and that's it. You're now logged in. You can do what you want. One of the big things though is because, again, you're not on a desktop, I can't now take this window and drag it off to my second monitor because I have to be within this browser. You do have in this top left this little window selection, so you can still do multiple windows at once, but you are a bit limited. One thing we recommend in regards to the web client, I thought of actually the other day, so we started recommending it, if using the web client, is under device settings. You can actually enable this thing called touch mode. What it does is it maximizes every window that you open. Some of you might already be using touch mode out there right now. Because of the web client interface, it just helps a bit if you don't have windows that are half here, because as you can see, it can start getting very, very messy very quickly if you start trying to not have things in a full screen, so to speak. So yeah, so that is that. So that's the web client. Okay, so let's go, we'll exit out of that. Yes, that's fine. And now let's actually log in through the remote desktop app. So I've just gone to my start menu and I've launched the app. Now I've actually decided to go from scratch, just to show how easy it is. You would not have to do this first step every time. But we're just going to hit the subscribe button. Once again, I'm going to go through my login process. Oops. Type in my password. I'm going to once again be prompted for MFA, which I will acknowledge. And then it's going to find our feed. So as I said, this is not something, that first step is not something you would have to do on every login. I just wanted to demonstrate quickly that, again, it's not that difficult. We've got that same Sybiz Vision logo here, and I just realized that I may have made this process a little simpler than it should be. But once again, we're going to pop password in. We can say remember me to make it a bit smoother in future. Oh no, perfect. Cool. And once again, we have logged in and we're just going to get Vision. So this time we get, I'll call it a more traditional Vision experience, wherein, what's the word I'm looking for? Wherein it opens as a separate app. So I'm going to pop the password in. This time I remember what it is. Number of logged in users exceeded. Oh, I know why, because I've left myself logged in. Yes, I want to exit Vision. Because I left myself logged in on the web client. I've just exited that now, so that's okay. Cool, and now we have Vision. And this operates, again, much more similarly to how you might be currently using it on premise, where it operates just as a normal app. As you can also see, I would personally, in my own experience, this is not too dissimilar from a speed perspective than just any old system. Also, just want to quickly demonstrate that file saving idea quickly. So I'm just going to come to the customers list, just something nice and simple. So if we come here, yep, customer list, no worries. This could be any report, of course. I'm just choosing this as an example. We're going to come here to our export button and we're going to choose our desired location. So as we can see, in this case, we've actually only got the one option, which is C on my computer. And we're just going to choose that. And now we can navigate to wherever we want on our local PC. I've got a bunch of very weird named folders. I'll just go to apps. I don't think there's anything too nasty in there. Cool. So I'm going to save customers report locally. Yes, yes. No worries. Cool. And let's say, let's say it's a couple of days later. We can now come to C, apps, and there's our report, saved as we would expect. So same thing sort of with printers. If we go to our print dialog, we'll notice even though I'm in this remote application, I can actually see these redirected printers, and these are all our local printers at the office here. So that is about all I wanted to show in regards to this demo idea. And as you can see, I was able to log in twice and see the concept of a bit of file, bit of report, a bit of printing, all in under just a couple of minutes, 5 minutes thereabouts. So again, pretty simple process, and I think pretty effective. So in regards to why one might want to choose the SybizCloud, here's sort of what we think sort of the top 5 reasons. There might be other reasons as well, but here's sort of the top 5. The big thing is going to be aging hardware with a hosted solution. It means that you don't have to worry about buying a new server, and new servers can be expensive. It depends on what you're doing, the size of your organization and so forth, but yeah, new hardware can be a big capital expenditure and potentially not one that you wish to engage with. SQL licensing sort of fits under that same bucket, where whilst yes, some people can get away with SQL Express, the gold standard is your SQL Standard or even SQL Enterprise potentially, and the licensing itself is more painful than I'd like it to be personally, and can also be very expensive. In regards to the SybizCloud hosted solution, all of that cost is an all-in-one figure, for lack of a better phrase. It's not, here's your quote, oh yeah, and you've also got to get your own SQL license. No, we handle all of that on our side. If you have diversely located staff, traditionally you would have to set up some sort of remote desktop environment, but again, that's something you've got to maintain, something you've got to put on your hardware. You've got to have the resources from a hardware perspective to actually allow all those people at once to log in. Whereas from the SybizCloud, as said, you can access from anywhere in the world. Server maintenance, again, sort of fits into that same bucket. If you've got a server, you've got to make sure it's maintained for the sake of updates. If something goes wrong, it's delays, it's I can think of, I think we've been running the SybizCloud for, I want to say between 3 to 5 years. I forget exactly how long, my memory's shocking. I can think of exactly one day where it was an outage, and it was an Azure related outage, unfortunately. Every other day, it has been accessible. It is extremely high uptime. So delays are not a thing. You get in, you log in, you get on with the job. You don't have to worry about, oh, you know, there's a server update going on or some of that. It's just, you're in. And the big thing is also security consciousness. As said, it is our top 2 priorities, and number 3 is everything else. With that foundation of Microsoft infrastructure, we do stand by, as I said, top of the line security model that's set up on SybizCloud, which is peace of mind. Wanted to quickly run through the implementation process. And this is sort of, if you were to say, yep, I want to use the cloud, this is sort of what you would want to expect. So the first thing is that we would have a chat with you in regards to your requirements. So things like user count, company count, and potentially anything extra that you might have. Third-party apps, you know, we don't, as said, we only allow third-party apps through the API. So if you say, oh yeah, well, I've got a third-party app and it has to be local, we might say, well, maybe it's not the answer for you. Or maybe can we rewrite that to run through the API? So again, we would want to understand requirements and make sure that it is a mutually beneficial fit. If it's feasible, which it is more often than it is not, we'll provide a quote and which you would then agree to if we're running through the whole implementation process. We'd provide some paperwork to be completed, read, completed, understood. Then it would be the technical team who would sort of take over. We'll organise. The big thing is a go live date, also user count, but that's usually part of the paperwork, and data transfer, because we usually are dealing with people who already have a database, and that's obviously got to be uploaded. We don't want you to start all over again. So we'll organise that data transfer to be as seamless as possible. And get a date set up there. And then on that go live date, we'll execute all of our planning, and then access and those instructions to access would be provided to the user accordingly. That's about it. It is something that can be a quick process. In regards to cost, it is something that it's hard to put a particular, it's hard to put a pin in a particular number, because again, as the example says in the slide, there are a lot of variations that are possible, and based on your requirements, that is something that could change. It's not, again, it's not a simple one size fits all number. It is something where, if you do X, we're going to provide you with Y service because that's going to suit you best. So if you want to find out what the best solution is going to be for your business, get in touch, let us investigate, and then we can provide you a simple to understand quote from there based on your particular requirements. It does depend on, again, company count, database size, and simplicity of the scenario, but it is possible to do this very quickly. Our record, I think, has been about probably 7 hours. That was a very simple scenario, though. It was like one database. It was pretty small, so it was go to woe pretty quickly. As said, larger databases, high company counts. If there's complex stuff, yeah, it's going to take a bit longer. But as said, we can potentially do it within or under 2 business days from that formal sign off to a go live. So we can do it very quickly, which is what some people want. Some people also want longer planning, longer lead times, and there's nothing wrong with either. So what's the summary? The goal of the slides, provide you some scope. It wasn't to provide all the answers necessarily, because we want to, as said, we want to talk with you directly. We want to tailor our response to you based on your particular requirements, but it's hard to do that if you don't even know that it exists or what the general idea is. So hopefully these slides have provided that scope. The big sort of, again, underscore, as it were, is you can log into the SybizCloud anywhere on the planet 24/7, as long as you have the remote desktop application installed or the web client. The web client is an option as well. It's easy to use, it's flexible, and most importantly, in our view, it is a secure option. So if you are ready to discover that SybizCloud environment, you can get in touch, sybiz.com. You can also give the office number a call. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I'm sure you've all got it somewhere. Give us a call, get in touch with us on the website, and hopefully we can do something that is mutually beneficial.